All right. We're ready. We are ready. Good to have everybody with us today. It's Florida Daily Show. I'm your host, publisher Ed Dean, also known as Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show. Can we just throw that in there? And I'll give everybody updates on all of that. Lindsey Randall, of course, is our news personality as well. So I got a lot of stuff going on. Every day we're going to do this at floridadaily.com. Every flippin' day. We got a boatload of guests, cover a lot of national issues, but on the state level as well. I promise you all will be entertaining. And so Lindsey Randall, of course, will fill in the void. I've got all of our guests coming up here in just a little bit, some of the big issues. So we got the whole bombing with Iran going on. Florida gasoline prices have jacked up by 50 to 60 cents just within the last few days here, Lindsey. And we're going to talk about that with the affordability issue as well. And we'll get into all of that. I want to talk about I get the latest on the Fox News polling we may get to coming up here in just a little bit. I mean, the whole affordability, everything's just affordability. I got news for you. It's not a hoax. It's still the biggest issue out there, Lindsey.
I totally agree. People, it's all about your pocketbook. It's all about your pocket. Yesterday, I spent $3.88 each gallon on my gas, and a week before, $3.88.
What do you got? Premium?
No, it was just regular gas. I didn't have time. I was running on empty, so I did not have time to go search for cheaper.
You're always running on empty, but anyway, yeah, I just
stop.
But
anyways, $3.88.
So they've gone up here, and AAA says they're going to go up even higher. Now, as a free market conservative, I love playing the devil's advocate on my radio show. A lot of our articles we cover at floridadaily.com, of course, center right, but we don't editorialize our articles. But some of the stuff we're going to talk about with our lineup coming up here in just a couple of moments is it worth it for more Floridians to pay higher gas prices for what's going on in the Middle East? Now, again, when I mean the devil's advocate, we heard Trump campaign against no new wars, no regime change. Hey, but first off, I like them taking out the trash in Iran. But I think you can do it without jacking up all the prices.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We're going to talk about this coming up here in just a little bit. Also, coming out later this week, the jobs numbers came out, not looking good. This is what happens when you start jacking up tariffs on Florida manufacturing companies. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not a tax increase guy. I understand there's a need for taxes and tariffs, but not for a higher area as well, Lindsey. But hey, by the way, one of Lindsey's favorite issues, maybe this week for a boring issue, we can talk about Epstein. Have you been following that? Now they want Pam Bondi to be subpoenaed and how she handled all the cases.
Oh my gosh, this is like such a terrible PR nightmare. If they had just come out at first and just said what it was and just given the files when they should have, I think that this could have blown over in a better way. But right now, I think they're playing with fire. It's bad. It's bad, Ed.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think they didn't handle it well.
Right. And by the way, on a state issue, which we're going to get into today and this week, usually when you have a conservative governor, I'm a big fan of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. To me, he's America's governor.
Yeah, he's the best.
So,
probably the best governor in the history of the country.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Well, don't get carried away too much here, Lindsey. I got to go back and at least in my current lifetime, yeah. And usually if you have an opposition to your views, it's normally Democrats. The problem with what's going on in the state house in Tallahassee, it's all done by the Republicans. Mm-hmm. I am not convinced to what I want to see. Am I going to get a property tax reduction? We've talked about this relentlessly on my statewide syndicated radio show. You are not going to eliminate the property taxes, okay? Just ain't going to happen. Let's get to our guest or our panel discussion. Tom Gaitens, Ed Moore. Tom, Ed, you with me?
I'm here. We're with you.
All right, so let me give a proper introduction here. Tom Gaitens, these guys come on my radio show every week. Tom Gaitens, of course, used to be with groups like Freedom Works, very popular in the Tea Party days. And then, of course, Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, all of those groups as well. We'll get into that. Ed Moore, read his articles at floridadaily.com. President Emeritus. I want one of those terms. President Emeritus at the in a college and university.
In your dreams, Ed Dean. In your dreams.
Ed Moore, seriously, before I get to all these issues, how do I get it? How does Hillary Clinton, the rest of these individuals, get an honorary degree? How does that work? We got Clinton Foundation's got to give them, millions of dollars to a school?
Generally, it's big donors or people who have done a lot for them. I've got a bunch of honorary degrees too, but it was because I did a lot for them. I didn't write these giant checks. So you got to earn it.
Yeah, I want an honorary degree. So we got a lot to cover right here on today's show. Tom Gaitens, let me start with you. The affordability issue is the biggest issue. Fox News polling, Quinnipiac, James Madison Institute, University of North Florida here in the state of Florida. It's the biggest issue out there. It's not a Democratic hoax going on here. You can call it inflation, transitory, whatever. I'll get to the state issues right now. Now gasoline prices are going up because of a war that's happening. How do you view all this from the 30,000-foot level if you're a Floridian talking about this issue?
It's all about affordability. But first, I do have an honorary degree from the Lurie Center from Minneapolis. Is that right? But in all reality, affordability is the biggest issue. I was out in Scottsdale recently and working with an economist. And when you look down the numbers, this is, Carville was right. It's all about the economy. And right now, Floridians are worried. They have high property taxes, still the cumulative effect of property insurance, the cumulative effect of grocery inflation for the last 6 years. The reality is people are paying a lot for a lot, and or a lot for little, I should say, but it's not going away, and it's not going to go anywhere soon. There's no magic bullet. And that's the one thing the Republicans are going to have to deal with, is the fact that there is no magic bullet. But when Danny Perez is holding up property tax relief for people, that doesn't bode well for us, because what it does is it wasn't going to impact anyone for the midterm elections, but the positive news will help impact positive feedback and feel. It's not going to hit your pocketbook, obviously, until the beginning of next year. But when you delay issues like this, that's just bad optics.
All right, Ed Moore, let me start with you. Let me get to a national. We break everything down here on Florida on a state and local level. But Ed Moore, let me start with you first. I have no problem with taking out the trash in Iran. I remember what they did to American soldiers covering the second Gulf War, what was going on there. We've never gotten our justice, our revenge. I'm all in favor of that. But, if it's the president ran on no regime change, which I didn't vote for because of that. I wasn't part of that crowd. I was part of, hey, Biden sucks. Let's get somebody else in there to do a better job. But there's the no regime change. There's the no new wars, by the way, which I don't think is splitting MAGA, which shows you, he can, when he can go down to 10th Street and pull a trigger on somebody and, nothing's going to end up happening, as he said one time, depending what street it was. But anyway, I don't think MAGA is going to split right here. But when you talk about going after, the mullahs and the supreme leader, every time I hear the word supreme, I keep thinking of a burrito at Taco Bell. But when you talk about the supreme leaders and all that, and again, the no regime change, the no new wars, this is exactly what we're doing here, Ed Moore.
Yeah, well, but I don't care. I've got a column actually what got posted up yesterday in Florida Daily on this very issue. Long overdue. How long do we have to wait when we've had thousands of Americans dying since 1979 and presidents that did absolutely nothing about it? Presidents make all kind of campaign promises. No regime, who cares? I think the only time the American public's really going to care on this issue, we don't mind spending the treasure. But when it's blood and treasure, then it wakes people up. When people start dying or getting seriously wounded, we start seeing people coming back maimed, then the attitude changes a little. I think right now, what I saw, number 1 in 4 are strongly supportive of what's going on. I don't think that's a bad number for right now.
Really? Do you mean 25? That's a quarter, Ed. You get that, right?
I understand that. I can do math. Yeah. I did that in my head.
That's those emeritus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why you got
the honorary degree that I used then.
Leave the humor to me, okay? What I'm saying, hold on, Ed, listen, we're all friends here, so I'm saying this in a good way. That's a quarter. 24. You think 25% supporting this is a high number?
I don't think it's no, I didn't say it's a high, I said adequate number. I don't think it's a make or break deal at this point in time, whether it's 25 or 40 or wherever that number is. People have a little bit of patience, not a lot. And I think we're going to wait it out and see what happens.
Hold on, back up. What is the little bit of patience? Give me a timeline. It's March.
July. Friday on your radio show, we talked about this as well. And I think July. If by July there's not some clear resolution and a clear path, people are going to get tired, and then you've got the fall elections coming. But
July 4th. July 4th. And this is our semi-quincentennial, so it's going to matter.
yeah.
So Ed, question for you. So what does victory look like for America in this whole situation?
Yeah, good question.
What does victory look like? Us being gone, handing responsibility for a lot of what's going over there to the Arab neighbors that are all under assault at this point in time. They would have all liked to just sat back and went, we'll let you guys do it and let Israel do it. They don't mind that, but they will mind and going forward because they've been attacked. They've all been attacked. And I've got people in contact in UAE and in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. They're getting hammered. They will be the ones that have to resolve this. It's not going to be us in there forcing free elections or anything.
Let me bring it to a Florida level here, Tom Gaitens. Let me have a little fun here. Biden, which I thought was a horrible president, probably one of the worst. Didn't start a war in Ukraine and Russia, but Republicans, my party, blamed them all. And by the way, gasoline prices were going up before then. We know this in 2021 and in 2022. But he didn't start the war. Gasoline prices went up. Biden gets the blame. Now, this is where the reporter in me kicks in. Okay, so all the MAGA people out there don't get ticked off just because I'm asking a realistic question here. But Trump begins this. Technically, I'm just saying, we've had like a semi-cold war until Trump got in office, where we bombed the crap out of him last July, which I had no problem with. Gasoline prices didn't spike. And there's always this debate whether or not, if you can keep them at check, some would say. Now, again, I'm not part of that libertarian crowd, no wars, no regime change. What I'm saying is you kept Iraq into check for so many years, couldn't get a bomb and all that kind of stuff. But yet, now follow me. Now we started the bombing here. I mean, let's just be honest. Technically, we started here. I guess you could say the undeclared war, whatever you want to call it. It is a war. We started bombing Iran over a week ago. Gasoline prices in the state going up by 50 cents or what? And yet, if this had been Biden, Republicans would be blaming Biden. Trump does it. Oh, no. Again, follow me now. Oh, this is for freedom. We're trying to, okay, fair enough. How do you answer that, Tom, when that type of a discussion comes up?
Well, again, we've talked about this many times on the radio show. It's all about messaging, right? And I think the Trump administration has been massively bad at messaging, remarkably so. And so you can juxtapose of the approximately 30,000 Iranians who were killed in January alone. How would the Democrats play that if we hadn't done this at this juncture? So the reality is, as we get deeper into the political season, deeper in towards the midterms and then to the general election, our foreign policy would come out as one of the issues that they target, even though it's not a presidential election. But it was something that they could use against the president, use against the people he supported. Interestingly, if you look around the country at the midterm or the primary elections this last week on Tuesday, most of Trump's endorsed candidates won in those primaries. So it does tell you that the base is supporting what the president's been doing. That's a good thing. But here's the problem. And to your point, if this drags on beyond July, we're going to have some major problems. But before that, it's actually a win-win for the Trump administration. And then it's win down line for our congressional candidates and Senate candidates, because people do recognize the amping up right now of the 20 semi-quincentennial celebrations that are going to start. We're talking about freedom, things that are Republican issues. It'll bring out our base if we have quick success within a few months.
Show up.
Look how. Let me just finish the point. Look how quick
showing up.
Look how quick the Venezuelan issue has settled, right? We didn't select the regime. We didn't select the new people, but it's not even being talked about in the media before this invasion, even in Iraq. I mean, in Iran. So the attention span of the media is so narrow, it comes and goes very quickly. And I think this has that prospect as well.
But I'll get Lindsey in here in a second. Yeah, but the attention span of the American electorate can be short as well.
Well, that's right. And that's beneficial to the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused. I'm sorry. I'm spoiler alert. I'm kind of the 3/4 where I really don't want us over there. I really don't. But I'm curious. I'm curious, Ed, you had mentioned that we've had Americans, and forgive my ignorance, but we've had Americans being killed since the 1970s. I've not known anyone to be killed over, with Iran or by Iran. Not that I'm in my little bubble, but I'm just curious, like, what is, I have in my head Iraq, Afghanistan. I have a little PTSD, and I'm sorry if that sounds flippant, but I have that memory, and
everybody remembers that. Yeah.
We were sold a bill of goods there, and we shouldn't have gone in there. And I have people and family members that went over there. I don't want that to continue, and that's one of the reasons why I voted for Trump 3 different times. So, can you just walk me through, like what's the end game? And I guess back up, why should we have gone over there really? And then what's the end game as an American?
Sure. Number one for me is revenge, payback for the things that they've done and the things they've sponsored. They're number one sponsor of terrorism around the world through Hezbollah, Hamas. All these other groups are Iran funded through oil money funding. Beirut alone, just Beirut, Lebanon alone, our U.S. embassy got bombed. Marine barracks got bombed. 253, I believe the number was, 253 Marines were killed in the barracks in Beirut from Iran-sponsored acts. USS Cole got bombed and damaged. I mean, look on, again, I'll reference my column. At the end of the column, we went a lot longer with a column this time. I listed events from 1979 to now that were Iran related, Iran tagged, every one of them. And it's Americans dying all over the world through their activities. So my number one reason, payback is hell. And we're showing them. Number two, we're showing the world how strong we are and how strong our military is. And that's a good thing at this point.
But what about boots on the ground, Edmore? You support that?
It's inevitable.
I think you're right. It's inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah, but not full incursion. We're not going to have, but we will have leadership there. We'll see
what happens. I think if the goal, listen, I know that some of my friends in the MAGA world, Tom Gaitens, were like, hey, Trump told you, and he was right, by the way. Trump said, no nukes. By the way, guess what? You can have no nukes without, and again, I'm not part of this. I'm just telling you as the reporter, this is what I would say. You can have the no nukes without regime change. Go in there and listen, I understand. And by the way, the real fun about this whole discussion is some of the Candace Owens and Tuckers. I enjoy watching them for entertainment, but it's the Jewish cabal. It's the Jewish conspiracy. And I'm like, well, wait a second. It isn't like Israel's trying to take over Iran. They don't invade countries. They're just trying to protect themselves. So that stuff doesn't hold out. But I got to tell you something that, again, I have always said on my radio show that I'm always looking for consistency. The consistency from many of my conservative friends. Like, okay, again, gasoline prices. If this had been Biden, Tom Gaitens, let's be honest, doing this. Republicans, because we got to win political points. Again, my president does it. Well, it's only going to be temporary. You better hope it's only temporary going into the elections. In other words, you can kiss that, hey, I brought gasoline prices back down, the affordability issue, because, Tom, you know this better than anybody. You work in the financial area as well, that if oil prices go up, you know what that does with other cost of goods? Inflation, that goes up as well.
Yeah, so economically, this is a bad thing for America. But I'm going to go to our North Star, at least my North Star, who's Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan spoke eloquently on this very topic. He said, freedom is not something we want to hoard. It's something we want to share. And this is an example of this. And I think it is 100% right here. The Kurds are going to come in and help provide a lot of the boots on the ground in the north. And they're an amazing fighting force. And the reality is the Iranian military is going to evaporate and dissolve because it does not have the strategic support from the top. There's no control and command there. So right now it's radicals controlling it, but they're going to slide away into the hinterland to hide. But here's where it affects Florida. And right now, this is beautiful. All you have to look at is what Marco Rubio has been said. They pulled up his 2015 speech. He is a rocket right now, heading to the moon in popularity. Why? Because he's an adult and he's talking about this issue on the importance. He basically said they were so close to getting those nukes. And once they get there, they become like North Korea and it becomes a blackmail situation. And that's the one thing the Trump administration wanted to avoid.
But Lindsey pointed out something a few moments ago. That was also sold as a bill of good into the second Gulf War. Nothing there. And by the way, may I say something? Do you know who was also very skeptical of all of this? Was then candidate Trump. So what I'm saying is, this is not a slam against the president, but trust but verify. To your point about Ronald Reagan, the president was very skeptical when he ran and ran again about going into starting wars and things like that. And I think that it's legit for us to at least to have the same attitude. Again, remember,
it's dangerous. No. To your point, it's dangerous to have absolutes as a politician.
Right.
Never say, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that, because the reality is world affairs will affect these things.
I agree with you, but but you're right. But the messaging's got to get out there. Let me go to another issue here in the state of Florida, and I'm going to pick on Tom because Tom's a good friend. We talk about it every.
I'm not a good friend. You can pick on me.
No, Ed. Tom's a good friend to pick on. You're a good friend. I don't pick on, by the way. So anyway, Lindsey as well. But anyway,
it's only because he's taller.
Nah, it's better looking. Anyway. The affordability issue here, Ed Moore. Let me start with you before I go to Tom. Tom is with groups like Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse. I, as a reporter, love having the discussion between the insurance lobby and the trial lobby. It's a fascinating discussion. Oh, by the way, guess what some of the biggest expenses for insurance companies are, Ed? Are defense lawyers, trial lobbyists. How about that? When we talk about the affordability issue, Ed Moore, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go to Tom here. So I look at it by saying, okay, I think there's some areas to deal with where I don't want my car insurance, my mandates of having, 10,000 PIP going up to 20,000, where the trial lobby can just settle things out of court because they're looking to make a quick buck, which most things are that way. But when you've got property insurance, according to the James Madison Institute, and UNF, every poll's been this way for the last 2 to 3 years, the biggest issue in the state under affordability is property insurance, then it's property taxes, and then it's about whether you can buy a home and blah, blah, blah. Ed Moore, we're now going at 2022, 2023, now the third, fourth year of all of this reform out there, and the insurance lobby, who I get along very well with, I get along with all these guys, but Ed Moore, it's once things will stabilize. Costs have gone up, property insurance 36%. Now it's dropped by 6%. So it's still 30% higher than what it's been over the last few years. On this affordability issue, Ed, property insurance is still the biggest thing. I got news for you. The insurance crowd going against the trial lobby isn't selling. I mean, to sit back and say that they're to blame, I like the idea. If you're going to bring down cost, you have more moving into the state instead of saying, hey, the trial lobby is the devil in the details that we just need to eradicate out of the paperwork as you get it. I don't know if it's selling anymore, Ed. I mean, with you talk about affordability, the trial lobby and insurance, how do you look at this?
Well, 25 years ago, I was very involved with an insurance crisis in Florida, and what we aimed to do back then was stabilize the market, get companies coming in and writing policies. It gets down to basic economics. If you don't have competition, if you don't have availability and accessibility, your prices are going to go up and keep going up.
Yep.
What the legislature and the governor have been focused on the last 6 years right now is like putting a cork in, it's the thumb in the dike. All the companies were leaving Florida. They had to keep them. So now they're coming back, but it takes time. And as you just said a little while ago, the attention span or the patience of the electorate is not strong. They want to know today, what are you doing for me today? And I just got my bill, and my bill went up 20%. I'm not happy. That's what you're going to hear from people. They forget the fact that a couple of years ago, it looked like they wouldn't be able to get property insurance. Now we've got carriers coming back into the market. Citizens, which is supposed to be the insurer of last resort, is strengthened by reducing policies within there and getting more people in the market coming in. It just takes a while. I think you're going to see it. I think they're on the right track, focusing on property tax reform and trying to get the cost of government down. That people will see right away. They'll see that in their next tax bill.
Go ahead, Tom.
Let me pick up on those numbers. He's exactly right. So here are the numbers. 150 insurers in Florida over this cycle asked for a 0% increase or a reduction on their property insurance premiums to their customer base. 150 companies, 17 new have come in, started writing new policies. And here's the big number. We are all pro-capitalist, the four of us. Yeah. Citizens Insurance is a socialized program that puts risk on every Floridian, irrespective of your culpability, where you live, just the fact that you live in the state of Florida. Part of your insurance premium that you pay every month goes to Citizens to cover its burden, potential burden. And it's still not coverable because we had 1.4 million people on the socialized citizens program. It has dropped because of the governor's reform and 837 in 2023 and the 2A in 2022. It is dropped now to 400,000. That's 1 million people who have left the system of socialism. That is a huge burden off the backs of taxpayers.
Okay, now let me just play the other side here for I'm not talking about the trial, but we had this happen under Florida Governor Rick Scott, and we didn't have much of the trial tort reform that we had under Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, number one. Number two, I agree with you. More insurance companies coming in do the job. So I guess what I'm asking is, and by the way, before I even go further here, is that the trial law. You know, listen, it's kind of funny. All of the trial lawyers I know are not. I mean, I know John Morgan. John's probably not the most liberal guy. He's liberal, but he's moderate, but he's not a far leftist. But the majority of the trial lawyers I know are all very conservative, pro-Trump, pro-DeSantis. And yet they will tell you the reason why that the insurance companies' costs are dropping costs is because they're getting outpriced. They can't do it anymore because of affordability issues.
No. This is propaganda. So here are the facts. One-way insurance fees changed the whole dynamic. So think about this, we produce attorneys in the state of Florida like we do M&Ms in Tennessee. The reality is we throw them out there, and then the only way they get to make money is they create causes of action where none exist. So they throw a lot of stuff up against the bar, hoping that one of them pays off for them. So the amount of lawsuits per month are half of what they were in 2023. That's a huge difference. And that's why the things like bad faith, reducing the amount of times of filing claims from 4 years down to 2. There's a lot of metrics here that were structural reforms that are why these changes have improved the livelihood of people and lowered the insurance rates. It's the attorneys.
Because the insurance companies have clamped down on fraud, which they stated they have. That's the reason why a lot of these claims are.
Well, it wasn't just insurance companies. It was the Florida legislature, because what they did is, listen, I in my neighborhood in 2023 or 2020 to 2023, you could look around and you see new roofs being put on every single day, and they were being put on a socialist program by the threat of lawsuits. So what happened is, and this was huge, you would have these professional adjusters going around telling you, oh, you must have some wind damage on your roof, and then go back a year. So these tightening up of these restrictions stop these attorneys from utilizing the system to get themselves rich and let your neighbor pay for your roof, when now people have to pay for their own roof. It's not a warranty system. Your property insurance is not warranty.
Oh, here we go. Ed Moore and Lindsey, jump in here in a second when you want. So Ed Moore, here's you can say it's all of the above. Ed, you've been a professor, you've taught class, so here we go. You've got the topic, you got multiple choice. You get 1 through 4. Now I may add 5. Is the reason why, when you listen to Tom, is the reason why your costs coming down, A, because the state came in and did $2 billion, which I get, of reinsurance money to help out to cover some of those costs, which I get it.
Yep.
Number 2, is it because we got more companies coming in? Or 3, is it, well, we just put a clamp and we just went after those filthy bastards known as trial attorneys as well? Or 4, it's through attrition. Which one is it, Ed? If you had to take your pick, which one, if, again, overall, it's still up by 30%. You just heard Ed. By the way, I don't know anybody's cost is going down. That's just me.
No, but they're stabilized.
They're stabilized.
Well, how do you call stabilization? We'll get into that in a second. Oh, but anyway, so Ed, which one is it? Which one is the reason why?
E, all of the above.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's all these factors that play. The reality is, they don't really know when they're trying a reform, when they try to do something legislatively. Government is not expert at all of these kinds of things. So they try. All they know is they've got this machine out here that's functioning, but it's not functioning well. So let's tweak this, let's tweak that. And that's what occurs over time. And they found some tweaks, Tom listed a bunch of them, that have made a great difference. Look at the number of insurance companies now coming back into Florida. And Florida is a very high-risk state.
I get it, but that's because, hold on. Okay. But that's because the governor put $2 billion as reinsurance to help them out and more. I mean, that's the discussion is not much talked about. So,
Ed, question for you. What's the ideal number of companies that need to come back so that the prices don't just stabilize but actually decrease? Because that's what I'd like to see. Because is it ever going to decrease? And
probably, yeah.
Okay.
And we have actually seen some reductions. Tom mentioned you have seen some reductions in insurance carriers' costs over time. Depends on where you live. If you live right along the coast, you're probably getting hurt a little bit more than anybody else at this point in time. The further inland you live, the better off you're going to be at this point in time. But eventually, the market gets saturated enough. You've got enough players in the market that make it competitive again. Right now, they're driving the bus.
Yeah, but hold on.
You've got to get on the bus wherever they're going because it's the only bus that's coming by.
Well,
but
Ed,
the more buses and options you have, the better off you're going to be.
I get it. But when I listen, and as a free market guy here, when I hear people go, well, the costs are stabilizing. So wait a second. Again, I'm not calling you Biden guys. Please understand that. The Biden White House was notorious.
That would be a first.
Yeah, I know it would be first. But follow me. What you guys have been on with me on my radio show for years. The Biden people said in Florida when they were looking about, the midterms, they were running, hey, look at inflation here, Tom Gaitens. Costs are stabilizing. Well, they said, well, it's still up by 20% or 30%. When he came into office, people didn't feel like things were stabilizing. First off, would somebody please explain to me, as a former economics reporter, what is the term stabilizing?
Okay,
what is the number? Like, if Ed's insurance went up by 40%, but only went up by 20%, is that considered stabilization?
No, so, okay, this is really important to understand. Economics is dynamic, not static. Number one,
I like that.
All four of us need to understand that, because this is what the Democrats like to use: static numbers. We're using dynamic. Let's put two dynamics in play here.
All right.
Last cycle, we just had two of the most horrific storms to hit Florida in its history, yet we still have stabilization. So if you were going to allow things to go the way they had in the past, the insurance rates would have been significantly higher this cycle. So they've actually did take a dip, but the problem is the absorption of all those insurance costs, excuse me, have created a balancing out here of these two dynamic opposites happening at the same time. It's important to remember, prior to 2023, 76% of all wind damage claims in America took place in Florida, yet we're only 8% of the risk. So that was, when you talk about comparing this to inflation, the insurance rates skyrocketed. They absolutely did skyrocket, and that is undeniable. But it's not going to work its way backwards, like you go 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
I understand. But explain to me, I think if they, by the way, which is fine, with the insurance companies clamping down on fraud, with the assignment of benefits, all the roofers, I get a lot of that as well. Mm-hmm. What I'm getting at, Tom, is would somebody explain to me what you mean that prices are stabilizing? I mean, if they're going up, what is the percentage of increases considered? Well, that's in the stabilization cone. I wish somebody could explain that to me.
Well, the stabilization is year over year, increase versus decrease. If it's not going up, because insurance companies have to apply for a rate increase to the Office of Insurance Regulation in Florida. So these metrics are very definable. So what happened is 150 insurance companies. This is to your point, Lindsey, asking about how many companies need to be in here. Well, 150 of them did not ask for an increase. That's stabilization, and that's dramatic stabilization, because here's the freaky part. Florida had the lowest rate of increase, 1%, of every state of the nation, of 49 states, yet we had two of the most massive storms, the biggest storms and biggest problems from Mother Nature this last year, yet we still only grew by 1%. That should be championed as a huge result of success.
You've got an interesting point, but let's also remind everybody, as we call it the way it is here at Florida Daily, was that if you look at Northwest Florida, west of you in Tallahassee, Edmore, actually percentage-wise, their rates are going up from what was hit in Perry, Florida area. In Southeast Florida, on a percentage area, some of their costs are going down because they haven't hit. Naples still got, still recovering, so they had a little bit of a hit, and maybe their percentage increase. But then again, I'm just trying to ask is because I don't know one person that tells me, hey, I live in the middle of nowhere, like State Farm, and I get it, large numbers. Like if I'm a good insurance guy and I haven't SPIA'd and I haven't filed a claim, my costs are supposed to, quote, be stabilized. There isn't one that's told me, hey, my rates have gone down. I got people telling me I live in the middle of nowhere. I got a few acres, no flood damage, no wind damage, and yet, as Ed Moore just, my costs are still going up. So again, I wish somebody would tell me what they mean. What is stabilizing? Because it's not for everybody. Now, I agree with you, Tom. In some areas of the state, you may see some. I don't see it overall. So, because it's still the biggest issue.
Well,
it's the biggest issue because it's been a problem for 9 years. It's gone up for 9 years. So I'm going to change the subject and we'll come right back to it. Let's talk about the inflation under Biden. It's stair-stepped up every year, right? So the cumulative total was 24% over those 4 years. Now, stabilizing that means your inflation is still 24% higher than it was when it began moving. So that's stabilization. It is the point, and I agree with you. But the point is, on pricing of goods, it's a lot easier to come down because here's the difference. Every day, consumer good prices change. They change every day. Insurance rates only change once a year. So for people want to see this magic 8 ball that's going to drop prices significantly, it can happen. Just go to your auto insurance, which was down 6.5%. And people got rebates this cycle. The thing is, it can happen, but give it a chance. It took 2 years to get all these lawsuits out of the system.
I'm with you. I think the messaging is, and I understand a lot of people are impatient. I get it. They want, hey, I don't want to wait 30 minutes for my food. I want to go, like when you sit down and order a nice place, they want like a drive-through menu, boom, they want it instantly. I get all of that. That's where the messaging needs to come in because now it's like, well, just give it another year. Just give it. I think that the insurance companies, and by the way, I understand many of their arguments because I cover this on both sides, Tom, because you're Ed, Lindsey, we'll all see that I get the both sides of the argument here. But when you've gone up so high, you can't outprice the market anymore. You've got to kind of come down. It's like dealing with the issue of tariffs, by the way. So, but anyway, unlike Lindsey, who owns like 2 or 3 homes, where she's worried about her state.
Oh, right.
Of
you mean doll houses or Barbie houses?
Yeah, the doll houses, the Barbie houses.
That's it.
So, but anyway, I got you guys on for a few more minutes here. Ed Moore and Tom Gaitens with here at the Florida Daily Show, along with Lindsey Randall, and you can hear every one of these individuals you can hear on my statewide syndicated radio show, which we're going to put up all the times and the stations because we just got more stations picking us up here. But anyway, Lindsey, the marijuana issue is done temporarily in the state of Florida. Okay. Didn't get enough. By the way, I got to get this whole petition things here because I got another knock here I got to bring up with the governor and Cord Bird, who I like, the Secretary of State. I know you got a great relationship with those as I do as well, Lindsey. But the marijuana issue, it comes and goes. They didn't get enough petitions. I think it comes back in 2028, Lindsey.
Oh, absolutely. This is not going to die. I wish it would. I hate going outside and having to explain to my tiny children what that smell is out there. However, this is not dead. This is just I think that they're just going to keep fighting until they win.
By the way, Lindsey is very successful, if I may say so, Lindsey, because everybody knows this when you come on the air. She's got a funny story. I want to talk about this with you guys here in the marijuana issue in a second, but Lindsey is a very successful business individual as well, not only with us at Florida Daily, but an analyst and consultant with charter schools. She's one of the biggest reasons why you see school choice expanded is because with her outfit up in Jacksonville, and she consults with other areas throughout the state. But she told a funny story, Ed Moore, on our morning show, our radio show, which is heard in afternoons as well here in the state of Florida. Lindsey goes, "Oh yeah. We're talking charter schools. You think, hey, more conservative parents send their kids to charter schools. What was the marijuana story you were telling me when the kids were getting out of the car?"
Oh man, we would have parents show up. To this day, they show up and you open the door in car line to greet the children, and smoke billows out of the car, and it's marijuana, and so the child smells like it, reeks like it. probably a little calmer throughout at least a couple hours. And then pick up is the same way. Pick up, you open the car door, that same child gets in, and it smells at 3 p.m. the same. So it's
Ed,
wild.
Do you think it would have passed if the marijuana initiative? I mean, I understand not always the same type of crowd in a gubernatorial year is the same type of crowd that will vote in a presidential year. Ed Moore, let me start with you on this one for a few minutes here. With that amendment, I mean, usually it failed. It failed to get the 60% by 3%. Right. And usually you wait a few years before you bring it back. They didn't wait. Okay, they wanted to bring it back. We can talk about the petition. I whatever, it is what it is, but. Ed Moore, do you think if it would have gotten on the ballot this year, it would have passed?
Probably just because of the drop in the total number of voters. I mean, you can get 60% of the smaller numbers, a real target audience, very easy to do. I think it would pass easily if they could do something about the smell. Honestly, God, I mean, I just today driving down the street coming back from church, there was a truck in front of us.
Right.
It's like it's that car. You're just following it along, and every stoplight you're getting high. Get rid of the smell. People will go, I really don't care. Most people, particularly conservatives, don't really care. Don't want this to be a major issue. Whatever you want to do is fine.
Hold on. First off, what Ed Moore's saying, Lindsay, if it could smell like Lancome as you're going through the smelling perfume counter at Dillard's, if it smelled like that.
No, that's bad too.
Yeah, I want my Ralph Lauren perfume smell. Okay, let's do that. Or flowers.
By the way, Tom, you know what Ed just said, something interesting. When you look at the poll numbers in 2024, the numbers percentage-wise, depending on what area you lived in the state, was down among Democrats. You know where the marijuana issue went up? Was highly among Republicans. I thought that was the role reversal, but Ed says he thinks it would have passed this time around. I think it's right there. Possible. What do you think, Tom? You think it would have failed or would have passed? It would have gone on the ballot this year here in Florida.
Well, Ed's exactly right. It would have passed probably because of the lower turnout. So the motivated voters that come out were probably more or less the hyper conservatives because we don't have that draw of the Trump administration, the Trump at the top of the ticket. I truly think it would pass. But here's the thing. What's interesting is even the New York Times has admitted it's wrong on its support for marijuana. I think that's a big issue because the more time we have now and we start to look at the metrics and the problems and the power of the product now, I think people are becoming a little bit more informed. And so by 2028, I think the bloom, so to speak, excuse the pun, may come off this and we may not have as likely a chance for it passing. And not the question because the presidential race, but Ed's exactly right. The midterm would have passed.
Yeah, that would have been a interesting and a different dynamics on that. But here's the big question for Lindsay, who co-hosts with me on our radio show and here at Florida Daily Show, is the argument is now they're saying it's like, exclude the gambling issue. We're going to focus on this another day. 47 billion and more, they say, in marijuana. I think it's just inevitable, Lindsay. It's going to happen here in Florida because if we go through this property tax reform, some of these municipalities are going to have to look to find a way to raise money. And guess what, Lindsay? You're consulting with all these charter schools. You can raise more money for your charter school on the back of the marijuana revenues, huh?
That's so true. I mean, you got to make up for that revenue somewhere. And unfortunately, I think that's where they're going to go. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry and it's not going anywhere. I mean, I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't want it around my kids. I'm with you, Ed. Like I smell it all the time. I mean, if you go to Colorado, I mean, they've destroyed their state doing that. Mm-hmm. I think we have a really good PR case against it, but I think our people would have to really get out in droves. Yep. And it would have to be framed very well because particularly, I don't care if people want to smoke marijuana. I just don't care. But when it affects me, when it affects my kids, when I can smell it, I don't enjoy that. And it's kind of like the cigarette issue too. I mean, I remember one time my dad as well now. My dad,
who's I'm sorry, my dad. I got to get going here, but my dad, who's a minister, one time, and he goes, son, grass should be walked on, not smoked. Okay. All right, listen.
The best ad campaign is don't make Florida stink. I mean,
Yes. Love
Hey,
it.
and Ed Moore, can you do something about your flipping camera next time? Well, actually, I take that back. I can only see half your face, so never mind. Don't do anything with it.
He's like the neighbor on that TV show.
Wilson, whatever. I mean,
Wilson,
Yeah. Home improvement.
Ed Moore, all of these individuals come on my daily radio show. And you think this is fast paced. You ought to catch the radio show every day, the Ed Dean radio show. But anyways, Tom Gaitens, I love you, brother. Good discussion. We're gonna do it. I want to do it within the next. We got all these flipping special sessions coming up. Oh my gosh. I want to do a big debate, the trial lobby versus the insurance lobby. I think
I'd love to.
Yeah. And by the way, Tom gets along with a lot of these guys. It's just.
Let me just add another topic, a special topic du jour for me. Another thing I've taken on is humansfirst.com and AI, protecting kids from AI. And Lindsey, it's something you and I would have a relationship on this, because the Governor's Bill of Rights needs to pass, and it's being held up in the House, and it's despicable because anytime you wait to protect children, it's a bad choice.
The AI. I think there's some advantages in AI. That's another discussion we're going to have.
It's a great tool.
Tom Gaitens, Ed Moore, Ed Dean, and Lindsey Randall tomorrow. Lindsey and myself will be back tomorrow for another edition of the Florida Daily Show.